Alton Towers is the UK's most well-known theme park, and it has been a staple of the UK theme park community for years. However, recently, in the last 10 years or so, it has been going massively downhill. But don't worry, I'm here to fix that. As today, I have taken over the park and created a 10-year development plan on how I, personally, would fix Alton Towers and all the things that are going wrong with the park. Make sure you stay tuned to find out what I would do. So lots of things that I find that are wrong with the park. Majorly is ride availability, food prices, the lack of flat rides, amongst other things. So the first year that I owned the park, because I've magically won the lottery and have been able to buy it, I would fix ride availability, purely because the most annoying thing when you get to a park is not being able to ride the rides. I would fix up a lot of paths around the rides, like making sure all effects are always working even during off-peak times. Just generally tidy up the park and do things like that. And another annoying thing is the fact that food prices are so high. What happened to be able to eat dinner at a park? You don't do that no more because the park closes too soon. So make park times much later. Say on a normal day, close it around about 7 PM, and then at peak times I would have 10 o'clock finishing all throughout the summer holidays, because then you can do things like guests will spend more monies on dinner if it is cheaper. Another really annoying thing when you go to Alton Towers is the car park is so far away, and you go to the monorail station and you're stuck waiting for 20 minutes. I would add more monorail trains during the peak times so people could actually get to the park. And once I spent all of my money on monorails and fixing up the food prices, there will be a bit left over to add in a flat ride. I would contact Huss and be like, "Yo, Huss, I've just built Toxicator and, you love the park so much. I think we should get a breakdance in as well and plop it in at X Sector." And then, boom, you have a brand new ride. It can be marketed and ridden and fun screams loudness. The locals won't like it, but that's not my problem. So that sums up year one. There will be fixed ride availability, effects all working, park tidy, food prices down, more monorails during peak times, and Project Horizon would be constructed. The start of year two, once we have accumulated lots of money, beautiful money, I would then cut the parking prices in half by 50%, because who wants to be paying £10 for parking? I think £5 more reasonable, as well as fixing up the car park, making sure it's all working all lovely-dovely and all that. I would then open up Project Horizon. That should be relatively ready. Make sure there's lots of theming. I would have it as an Intamin multi-dimensional coaster, much like Uncharted, except actually having theming. And while that's open, and all the guests are loving that, I would close down Rita. Now the reason I close Rita is because, although it's a great ride, is it really ever open? So if it's closed for a year, it won't really make much difference to what's going on right now. And I'd replace it with a Tutatis style launch coaster. I'd have a small spike because I think that adds massively to the ride length while keeping it cheaper, and to the guest experience because spikes are amazing. Future coaster climax here, and I've actually gone ahead and made a layout on No Limits 2. I wasn't going to, but I thought, well, you might as well. So it's not entirely perfect. It's got a few spots I'm not quite happy with, like the fact that we're inside of the ground here, but it gives kind of a rough guess of what kind of layout I'd go for. I think it could do with a few more airtime pops. I mean, here it's got a really cool spike element which does stay below the tree line, so I kept it sort of similar height gauge to 13. And yeah, you get some really good airtime here. I feel like there are a few parts that could do with some more airtime, and the profiling is definitely not the best. It was kind of a bit of a quick job to get a rough gauge of what I would do. But it does have feature 2 launches. Technically more if you include the spike. It has a pretty good capacity. I worked it out to be about 1,100 riders an hour, which Wickerman's 900, so it's kind of about mid-average to the park. It's better than Smilers. It's not as good as the 13s. Similar to what Rita is currently. So, yeah, I mean, it has a top speed of about 50-60 mile an hour. And yeah, this part here I think could be a bit better, minus the fact that we go through 1,000 different trees. And then this bit here kind of a bit inspired by Taron with little multiple S-bends going downwards. Yeah, it's not perfect layout, but you get the concept. It runs 4 trains and it's all good funness. Back now to Now Time Coaster Climax. Now the layout wise for this, there'll be a spike, there'll be a couple of inversions, but mainly airtime focused, as there isn't anything airtime focused at Alton Towers, and airtime is amazing. No, 13 does not count, there is no airtime, that is the most pointless coaster ever. And then I'll start slowly teasing it, a bit like what they've done with Nemesis, because that whole marketing for Nemesis was actually amazing, and that needs to come back. So this ride would be themed towards the Dark Forest, similar but differently themed to what Rita is now, but actually themed in. I'm not sure how I'd do that, but it would probably be quite cool. And then for year 3 then, not really much would happen. There'll be a few more flat rides. I'd want a flat ride in Dark Forest, possibly a new ride as well in CBeebies Land, and continue on with Rita's replacement, which would be the new Intamin style coaster. I would increase guest facilities, so I would potentially add some more toilets, because toilets, you know, why not? Before hyping up year 4, which would have that multi-launch coaster. So this Intamin Blitz, as I've shown, would have lots of airtime, S-curves, just great fun layout overall. So year 4, that coaster would open, it would all be great fun, guests would love it, they'd come running down, there'd be lots of marketing for it, going along with the flat ride that went the year before, have it all themed in, and yeah, it would just be amazing. I would then also add in a flat ride over towards Runaway Mine Train, because I feel like that's a bit of a outdated part of the park now. Congo River Rapids would probably get a retheme, and it would just be all about sprucing up the park, building up guest experience, having entertainment throughout the park, longer operating hours, and actually doing things the guests want. Not just going, instead of having like, you want to ride the Runaway Mine Train? Well, it's like, it's closed. We'd still keep the theme for the Runaway Mine Train, of course, but I would potentially blend it in with Curse Alton Manor, or have it more themed towards Wicker Man, and have it as a different style of area. And then for year 5, which would be a really big year, there would be, we wouldn't add in another flat ride at this time, because there's been a few flat rides, you know, I think the park's going quite good. CBeebies Land would be re-themed up, because that does do quite well, but a big announcement would happen, that Spinball Wizard will be gone. Although this is a great ride, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I think it could do with something new there, and that would be a B&M family invert. Why have I chose this? I think for the area, it's quite a nice sized area, and although the spinning aspect is quite cool, what's going on within later plans, we don't want the spinning coaster. The invert would be like Nemesis, so younger audience, that would be like a 1 meter height requirement, 1.2, can actually ride Nemesis beforehand and get the same feeling and experience. And they are just great fun rides. I mean, I've never done a family invert, but they look really good. And the layout that this layout I have actually made on Planet Coaster 2, which has some airtime moments, some parts of high forces, and it flows nicely through the area, great guest interaction, and yeah, I think it's just brilliant. And that would obviously, that will be announced towards the middle of year 5, the Spinball would be closed, and I think that's great. So overall, the first 5 years have been a very interesting few years. So we would have Rita closing, Project Horizon opening, and a new project being announced. So overall, every 2 years there will be a big investment within the park. Because if you actually think about the park, nothing's really been added since Wicker Man. I mean, yes, we've got Nemesis Reborn and Toxicator, but if you look at the park 10 years ago, it looks very same-ish. So let me know, what would you guys add towards Alton Towers and making it an actually better overall park? So if you do like this video enough, I will make a part 2 where I will go through my plan and go from year 6 to year 10. And I'll make sure I do like, because there's some juicy stuff towards the end. But that's all from me now. Goodbye. I can't even, my camera's too far away, you know.